Trouble is on the way. When the voices in your head whisper creepy things at night, the moon hides behind dark clouds. Devil's looking for you. The devil is here tonight.
We overlooked it way early. We didn't want to believe a family member could be doing this. We just thought it was some perp from outside the family. And we were talking to the killer or killers on a daily basis.
On October 16, 1991, volunteer fireman Brian Wilkins loaded up his fishing gear and drove to Clear Boggy River just north of Boswell, Oklahoma, to just do some fishing. It was a beautiful fall day in Oklahoma. Parking near the bridge, Brian got out of his truck, grabbed his fishing pole up, and started walking down to his favorite fishing hole. As he neared his usual fishing spot, he was hit with an odor that made him nauseous. He realized the smell was coming from a trail that ran through the dark woods, so he decided to go check out what was causing that awful odor. As he walked down the trail, he noticed something from a distance that had been covered by some brush. He thought it was just a decomposing animal until he came closer to the object. When he kneeled down to get a closer look under the brush, he realized that he was staring at a small skull with long brunette hair still attached. Then he saw the left wrist, which still had 3 tiny friendship bracelets on, and on the right ear was a little tiny gold hoop still attached. Tears came to his eyes as he realized that this was the body of a small girl. Eventually, this small decomposing body would be identified as 11-year-old Melissa Moody, and what she had been put through in her short life would be nothing short of a nightmare. This story involves polygamy, domestic violence, incest, and child SA, so viewer discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Holly, and thank you for joining me right here in my murder she shed. I've been so excited about how quickly our little community has been growing lately, and I would just love to have you also join us weekly for a rarely discussed true crime. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also like button before you leave so I can get out into this big YouTube world. Also have another channel where we discuss strange stuff. I don't know. It's called Strange She Shed, and the link to that channel will be in the comments. The next thing I discuss is going to be what in the world is up with the TikTok Gypsy Rose Blanchard TikToks. They've just become crazy insane. So follow that link. Hit that subscribe button when you go over to Strange She Shed so you can get that video. To understand this true crime case, we have to start from the very beginning. When Jesse James Cummings was born on November 19, 1955 to parents Marie and Jesse Samuel Cummings. Although Jesse's father liked to drink and cheat on his wife, he was actually the better parent. Jesse's mom Marie was a very cruel woman who liked to cause her children lots of pain. She would use a horse whip when beating her children, and Jesse received the most beatings, more than his other siblings. She was just a cruel woman, and she would beat them senseless with anything she could find, really. Soon as Jesse started walking, he would inflict the same pain on animals that had been done to him by his mother. He didn't know any better, I guess. That's all he knew was cruelty, so he became cruel to everyone and everything around him. When Jesse was 12 and his family lived in Colgate, Oklahoma, he dropped out of school, and by 14, he ran away from home. At the age of 18, he was married to a 15-year-old girl, but that didn't last long because she grew tired of the beatings pretty quick she was receiving from Jesse. And basically, he just went back to mother. Although he hated his mother for all the cruelty that she dealt on him, he loved her fiercely too. And he would do anything for his mother because she had complete control over his life. In the future, he actually marries women that look kind of like his mother. It's a weird, creepy Norman Bates kind of situation. Although Jesse compares himself to Charles Manson, he's actually more like Norman Bates. But in his mind, he's Charles Manson. When Jesse was 23, he was married again to a woman named Janet, who he began to beat and actually prostitute out to other men. Then when Jesse was 28, he met Sherry, who was a 16-year-old girl. Jesse didn't tell Sherry that he was a married man and began to court the minor. Sherry became pregnant with Jesse's child, and he moved Sherry in with him and Janet. He simply told Janet and Sherry they would just have to share him, and they both would be his wives. And they were too scared of him not to go along with it. He even nailed the marriage license to their bed. Sherry's on one side, Janet's on the other, and he said, "That's where y'all sleep, and I'm going to sleep in the middle." Jesse also had his sister Judy Moody move in with him along with her little daughter Melissa Moody. Judy's husband had passed away from cancer, and she felt like she didn't have anywhere else to go, so she moved in with her brother. After the 16-year-old Sherry had their daughter, Jesse then began pimping her out in order to make some money. So he's pimping Janet out, now Sherry out. Sherry refused at first, but he beat on her until she complied. She felt like she had no choice. She felt like her child might be in danger. He said, "I'm going to take your child away." And she was scared to death that he would take her child away. So she just complied to his every wish. Jesse's wife, Janet, finally decided to leave after Jesse attacked her with a pair of scissors. About time. After Jesse started getting in trouble with the law in Oklahoma, he decided he'd hightail it to Arkansas. So he got Sherry and his daughter, and they moved to Arkansas. But he left behind his sister and his sister's daughter, Melissa. Arkansas is where Jesse would meet his next wife, ANITA. While he was still married to Janet and Sherry, he had his third wife, ANITA, in 1989. ANITA already had a son when she met and moved in with Jesse and Sherry. Jesse told his women up front that he wanted a threesome. Not only that, he began pimping ANITA out too, and would often watch while his wives were entertaining other men. He liked to either hide and watch or just watch if they would let him. Jesse always tried to model his life like Charles Manson, like I said, and he wanted to have complete control over everyone around him. He would connive, lie, and beat his wives and children into submission. He always threatened to kill or take away the children if his wives disobeyed him. Both ANITA and Sherry were very scared of him. They would do anything he asked, eventually even murder. Jesse was on drugs and stole them from people's homes or anywhere he could get them, really. Not only taking them himself, but also giving them to girls that he would meet so he could knock them out in order to them. He even once Sherry's 14-year-old sister when she came over to visit Sherry. Sherry's sister was attacked by Jesse when she spent the night one night. He went into the room where 14-year-old Sarah was sleeping, straddled her chest, and choked the little girl until she passed out. Both ANITA and Sherry heard Sarah's screams and came running into the room. Then Jesse made Sherry watch as he essayed her little sister. Sarah actually became pregnant from the rape and miscarried a few months later. In December 1989, Jesse decided to move his family back to Oklahoma. Jesse moved to Phillips, Oklahoma in a shabby house that he rented for $25 a month. Jesse's mother had passed away, and Jesse's dad's health was getting really bad, so he decided to move his dad into that little rent house with the rest of his family. In the back of the old house was a cellar, which he said one day that he would keep his sex slave in. He also would lock the children in the cellar when they did something he was not pleased with. He would sometimes lock one of the children in the filthy cellar overnight and then go outside at night and howl like a wolf in order to terrify the child. He would shock the children with cattle prods, and they were handcuffed to their beds for hours at a time. Sherry also suspected him of molesting their little daughter. This brings us back to his sister Judy Moody and her daughter Melissa. Melissa by now was 11 years old and had turned into a beautiful little girl. She was shy and often bullied at school because she had a speech impediment. Melissa went to Tushka Elementary School and lived in Tushka, Oklahoma, which was about 20 minutes away from where Jesse lived. The best thing about school was her best friend Lisa. They were more like sisters and did everything together. Lisa would even go to Jesse's home because Melissa did not want to go by herself when her mama made her stay there while Judy was running errands for her brother. Melissa's house was not the best, but when she went to Jesse's rent house, She had to endure rats and roaches and a nasty, cluttered home. Not to mention her Uncle Jesse, who always scared her and just made her feel uncomfortable. He's just creepy. So often when her and Lisa stayed there, they would run out and play in a field, pet the cows, make friendship bracelets, and visit all the baby farm animals behind Jesse's rent home. Jesse began to notice that Melissa was getting about the age that he was attracted to, and he didn't care at all that Melissa was his niece. On September 4th, 1991, Jesse asked his wife Sherry to take his sister Judy house hunting tomorrow because Jesse had convinced his sister to move closer to where he lived. Then Jesse told Sherry, "While y'all are doing that, I will be taking my dad to OKC, Oklahoma City, for his cancer treatments, and I want you to take my sister to an empty house in the country and shoot her." I mean, what would you do if your husband said that? "Hey, you need to take my sister over into an empty house, and you need to, you know." I mean, I guess it wasn't odd considering how cruel Jesse was, but if my husband told me that, I'd be like, "Well, you cray-cray? I don't think so." But I guess Sherry didn't think it's nothing different. She did refuse, however. Probably the first time she ever refused Jesse. Then after she refused, he went to ANITA and said he would kill her son if she didn't kill Judy. ANITA believed him because one time he had beat her son, Scotty, so hard that the little boy had went into convulsions. So when Sherry and Judy came back from house hunting and the kids were in the field playing, she shot Judy while she was watching TV on the couch. Sherry was on the front porch and heard the shots. The women then brought all the children inside, including Melissa, but they actually shielded their eyes when they brought them through the living room so she couldn't see her mother. Thank God Melissa's best friend Lisa did not come with her that day. The children were told they had to stay in the bedroom to play. They were even locked in. They then dragged Judy's body to the old cellar and cleaned up the mess in the living room. Jesse called his wife and asked if it was done. Then he told them to handcuff 11-year-old Melissa to the bed. When Jesse returned home, he had the women help him drag Judy's body to her truck and load it. They dumped Judy's body in a pond near Atoka Lake and drove Judy's truck to another location and parked it. Sherry drove a car behind him, so after they dumped the body and dumped the truck, they then both got into Sherry's car and headed back to the rent house. After entering the house, Jesse instructed his wives to take the handcuffs off Melissa and undress her, while he undressed himself. Melissa crawled up in a ball on the bed, nude and scared, and Jesse said to her, "You know what I want." And then he made his two wives watch as he this little girl. Afterwards, Jesse said to the women, "I have been wanting to do that for a long damn time." Then he told Melissa to dress and that he would take her to see her mom. He told Sherry and Melissa to get in the car, and then he drove to the bridge which crossed over the clear boggy river in Boswell, Oklahoma. He made Melissa get out of the car and walked her into the dark woods. Sherry would later say the little girl was shaking all over from fear, and she wanted to stop him, but she feared for her own child's life and also for hers, so she didn't. Jesse walked Melissa near the river and violently essayed her again, and while her back was still against his chest, he pulled a knife out of his coveralls and sliced the little girl's throat. He then dropped her lifeless body to the ground and attempted to cover it with brush. On September 8th, Jesse decided to report his sister and niece missing because Lisa's mom, Lisa was Melissa's best friend. She decided that something wrong was going on because she hadn't seen them in a few days. So she kept badgering Jesse, and Jesse said, "Well, I got to report them missing." So he went to the police office. Jesse told the Atoka County Sheriff's Office clerk that friends had told him that they had seen his sister's vehicle at the Atoka Lake on Highway 43. The next day, on September 8th, Judy's body was found floating in a small pond adjacent to Atoka Lake. She had suffered wounds to her head and neck, and her body was wrapped in a quilt and a mattress pad. The following month, in October, the skeletal remains of little Melissa were located by the volunteer firemen. Due to the decomp of the body, an exact cause of death could not be determined, but evidence of sharp force injury to several ribs was noted. Their murders would remain unsolved for 3 years. Judy and Melissa were buried in coffins not a heck of a lot better than cardboard boxes. Their headstones were bought through donations from generous donors in Oklahoma. Even though Jesse had collected money claiming it was for his sister's headstone, he never paid for a headstone. Jesse's abuse of Anita escalated to the point that she thought he would kill her for what she knew. She knew if she didn't get her son and herself out of that house, they would be dead in only a matter of time. So she went to a preacher that she trusted and confessed to murdering Judy because Jesse had asked her to, and she had been too scared not to do what he had asked. The pastor let the sheriff's office know about Anita's confession. Anita was charged with first-degree murder for the death of Judy, and Sherry was charged with first-degree murder for the death of Melissa. First-degree murder charges were dropped against Sherry when she entered a plea agreement with the state and pled guilty to 2 counts of accessory after the fact and 1 count of permitting a child to be abused. First-degree murder charges were also dropped against Anita, and she pled guilty to second-degree murder. Both Sherry and Anita testified against Jesse at trial. Anita received life for second-degree murder, and Sherry received a 35-year sentence. Jesse was convicted and sentenced to death in Cole County for the September 1991 murders of his sister and his niece. An appeals court later reversed Jesse's conviction for his sister's murder, but his conviction for the murder of Melissa still stood. The same month Jesse murdered his victims, in September of 2008, he was executed. For his last meal, Jesse asked for a bucket of KFC chicken, 8 additional drumsticks, and a chocolate milkshake. He confessed his innocence until the very end. His dying words were, "I love my family. I love my children. The justice system let me down on this case. It turned a blind eye to truth in this." Before taking 2 heaving last breaths, he said, "I forgive everybody involved in this." Melissa's body was eventually dug up so she could be buried in a more fitting coffin that she so deserved. Another beautiful little girl whose life was ended from the selfish act of a monster. May you rest in peace, Melissa and Judy Moody. Alright guys, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. You know it. Stay blessed, be a blessing to others, and have a great rest of the week. Me and Simon, we love y'all as always. Sorry, you're going to hear hammering and hitting and sawing and farting. I don't know what you can hear out there. They're working on my house again. Those that are subscribers here know that I had a tornado and that I'm rebuilding a house. So I apologize for the background noise. Here's my boo coming. There's my boo. I knew he's coming. I can always hear those little nails. Hey boo. We love you, boo. So my husband and I are going to have a birthday pretty soon. And I said to him, let's just stay the age we are now. Let's not move up any. So that's the plan. So from now on, if you ask us our age, we're going to lie. We're going to lie. That's just weird to marry women that look like your mother. That's just really creepy. You know you have issues when you're going around, that chick's hot. She looks just like my mother. Gonna bed her. Definitely a Norman Bates vibe. Judy's husband had passed away from cancer, and shit, double hammer shit. Excuse me, Lord. Didn't mean to say all that. Yeah, I know. Aggravating. What you got, bub? Bub's got a dirty ball. Well, your ball's always dirty. Yeah. Oh, God almighty. It's gonna be a long day. A long day. I still have to film my Strange She Shed video. I know, Bubba. It's loud around here. So loud we can't do any freaking thing. Melissa Moody. Fart. So he's pimping Janet out, his other wife, and now he's pimping out his another wife, his third wife, his fourth wife. I don't know. Shit. I don't know why they're sawing so much today. Like, how many pieces of freaking lawn does she got to saw today? Because because I wanted to build a table today too. I have plans to build a little table to go in my hallway because I'm going to buy a Tiffany lamp. I have a Tiffany Dale lamp, but I want an actual Tiffany. I have this lamp fetish. I love lamps. I just want to buy all old lamps that I can find. It's weird. But she just complied to his every wish basically. God dang it. In the back of the old house was a cellar, which he said one day that he would keep his sex slave in. That's all what we say when we see a cellar in Oklahoma. I'm going to keep my not that we're going to go there for a tornado, but I'm going to keep my sex slave there. Do some more. And he wants to say bye, of course. All right, dirty boy, get down. Get down, let me get up. Dirty boy, bye.
When the voices in your head whisper creepy things at night, the moon hides behind dark clouds while you're depending on its light.